Good morning.
Hi, guys.
How are you guys? Good morning. Good morning. This is
Good morning.
Angela Marie. Oh my goodness, there is a lot of people on here already. Holy cow.
How come we never get this just ourselves?
This
Only for our
is
special guest star.
amazing.
Who's the star of the program? Definitely not us.
I absolutely love it. Good morning. This
Good morning,
is
guys.
the Angela Marie in the Morning Show.
Yes.
We stream live every Wednesday morning at 8:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Good morning, those of you joining us on Facebook. My personal page, Rachel's
Yes.
page. We even have our special
Guest star.
Oh, I
our
love
celebrity.
it. Our celebrity.
Pennsylvania's hero.
Absolutely. I love that.
Yes.
And so we're going to bring him on in just a few minutes. But I just wanted to quickly introduce ourselves. I actually started this morning show back in March when the shutdown happened. And I had another co-host. And now I have a new co-host with Rachel. Rachel Vermeulen has
She
been.
said it right.
I did stutter a little bit.
You're getting it every week. It's all good.
But anyway, this is 8:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time every single Wednesday morning. And there are times when I really would like to have a guest on. It's been on my heart for quite some time that I wanted to have Doug Mastriano on. He is our hero here in Pennsylvania, and I'm super excited. I know Rachel is super excited.
Yes.
As you can see, we have Walk is Free people with Doug Mastriano signing behind us.
Buttons.
T-shirts, buttons.
Yes.
It's crazy. So, but really quickly, I'm going to introduce myself. For those of you who don't know me, there's a lot that probably don't. There are some that maybe have met me at rallies, who maybe know Rachel. My name is Angela Marie. I'm a transformation coach, founder of findyourpurposeandshine.com. So I am an entrepreneur, and even though I work from home, I'm telling you, it's been a rough ride. But the reality is that we are so blessed to have an incredible senator that continues to fight for Pennsylvania here in our state. So that's a little bit about me. Rachel, I'm going to have you just introduce yourself, who you are.
I am Rachel Vermeulen. I am blessed to be Angie's co-host. I am so excited for today to be able, for everybody, to be able to meet Mr. Douglas Mastriano and get to learn all about his background, get to know about his military experience, and get to know how he is fighting for us as citizens of Pennsylvania. So without further ado, if you would like to introduce our special guest.
I would love to.
Okay.
I've been waiting for this day. I don't know about you, but I'm super excited. So you
Doug
guys,
knows we love him.
You guys, for those of you who don't know who Doug Mastriano is, he is the senator in Pennsylvania of Adams County, parts of York County, and Franklin County.
Yeah.
And he has been our voice in Pennsylvania. He has been fighting like I've never seen anybody fight before, and he really is our hero. He has a background that is just amazing, and I'm not going to give it away. We're going to interview him today. Yes. You guys are going to hear his background, what he's all about, what he's been able to accomplish, and why he's doing what he's doing for the state of Pennsylvania. So exactly. We're going to go ahead and bring him on. I'm really excited. For those of you who don't want this to get political, yeah, well, it is.
Today is our political show, guys. Sorry.
Yep. But at the same time, it's also our freedom show.
Yes. And he's going to talk to us about how he has fought for freedom, not only in the military, but what he is doing for us now. And you're going to get to learn about every single reason why we absolutely adore him and love him, and why we're such big supporters. Now, for those of you who don't know, Mr. Douglas Mastriano is actually not my senator. But I would not mine either. But we're still very big supporters of Doug. So you will find out quickly during the session why we support him and why we encourage you guys, if you are in this district, to definitely vote for him.
Absolutely. He's not there anymore. We got to wait till he comes back.
He left us. Hang on, guys.
Oh, here he comes.
He's back. He must have heard.
All right.
All right. We can bring him on.
We are ready.
Yes,
we are going to bring him on right now.
There he is. All of a sudden.
All right, I'm going to move over.
I got it.
Now we're in the screen, I think.
Hello. Good morning, Doug.
How are you?
Good morning. Good looking shirt. Good looking sign. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you so much for being on, Doug. How are you this morning?
Yeah, I'm alive. How about y'all?
Barely waking up. We have coffee. We're good. You have your tea during your program, we have ours. We have copy. Up, see?
I love it.
That's awesome. So I don't know if you were able to hear about our introductions. Only Doug. So I don't know if you're able to hear our introductions about you. If you're able to hear the first, were you able to be a part of that?
Yes.
Okay, so we heard. Okay, good. All right, so if you can just give us a little bit about your background, especially when you were in the Army and how you fought for our freedoms and what exactly your job title was and what you did while you were in there.
Wow, it's 30 years to cover in what, 30 seconds?
Yeah. Just a quick overview, highlights of what you've done. We're good.
So I was commissioned in the United States Army in 1986 as a military intelligence officer, had a top secret clearance for 30 years of my service, working on analysis of the enemy and his capabilities and providing the commander advice on how to best to eliminate, destroy, or overcome them over 30 years of service. Various capacities. Started off as a lieutenant in West Germany on the Iron Curtain borders of Czechoslovakia and East Germany, and Rebbe and I were newlyweds, moved to Europe during the Cold War. She was told by my commander that if the Soviets attacked, we'd last 45 minutes, and we were basically a speed bump for them. So that was real comforting for newlywed over there. And we used to practice drills in case the Soviets attacked. The family members out, and every year we do this drill. And one time she asked the MP, because we had 3 cats from Sharon, Pennsylvania, strays that we'd adopted. And anyway, she asked the MP, what are you going to do with our pets, our cats? And the MP's like, oh, if it really goes down, we'll just have to go through your house and shoot your pets. So Rebbe's like, coming up with my own plan. I'm going to go through Switzerland with my cats without you guys. So yeah, that's a lot for newlyweds to go through. And we saw the Cold War end after, about a year and a half on the Iron Curtain, and just seeing all kinds of bad things happen and watching it end was so fantastic, and welcoming new people to freedom from Eastern Europe was like a highlight of my life. I'm still a young man, and then Desert Storm breaks out. I find myself in Saudi Arabia. They tell my wife he's going to be gone for a long time, a year. We don't know longer. And if there's a war, we don't know if he's coming back, because the Iraqis are combat veterans fighting Iran for 8 years. They have great equipment. And I watch America pray for us, and that war turned out so well, in large part thanks to the prayers of Americans back here in Pennsylvania. We had 24 churches in Pennsylvania praying specifically for me in my unit, and all 500 men in my squadron came home. And that's quite a thing, because we fought several Iraqi armor divisions and had a lot of mishaps. And even my agnostic commander, who was a bit hostile towards me because of my faith, he liked my performance and how I was as an intelligence officer, but he didn't like that I was a Christian. But after watching so many of his men escape death, at one time he, in the middle of the war, he yelled at me, and that was not uncommon for him to yell at me, kind of mock me publicly. And he goes, "You see Mastriano there?" And I'm like, "Oh, here comes again." You see, he has that Bible. I always had my Bible with this. I've had a spare minute. Crack it open to read something, because we all need to start carrying Bibles around like him. I'm like, wow, what happened to this guy?
That's funny.
Wow.
So one of the things that happens, we were the first into Iraq from the American forces, and we actually went in a day before the ground war. People don't know this. And so we launched our rocket attacks, our air attacks. I'd identified some Iraqi positions on the border that we had to take out, and then we advanced into Iraq. And the problem, Saddam Hussein had given orders to his commanders to use chemical weapons on the Americans if we entered Iraq. And the thing that was working in Saddam's favor was the wind blows from Iraq into Saudi Arabia. So you dump the chemicals that's going to go on top of the Americans. But as I could not believe this happened to me, as the first tank from my regiment, 2nd Cavalry Regiment, entered Iraq, I saw all these dust devils around me, hundreds. I just felt so small, because I was realizing what was going on here. And God shifted the wind to go in the opposite direction. And it stayed that way until 8 o'clock in the morning, 28 February, the minute the ceasefire went into effect. What's kind of funny is wherever we liberated behind us, the wind went back to its normal course. But in front of us, where we needed to blow in Saddam's face, it stayed blowing that way. And so none of us could say,
that almost reminds you of something in the Bible in biblical times, the things that you read in the Bible, doesn't it?
It does. Exactly.
That's why I felt so small, because as a military intelligence officer, I'm to be the expert on the weather, the enemy, and the terrain, anything that could affect friendly operations. Mm-hmm. And so And another biblical thing that happened, we're advancing towards Saddam Hussein's elite armor forces. They're called the Republican Guards. I call them the bad Republicans. And so we're advancing towards the Tawakana Mechanized Division, the Iraqi 12th Armored, the Iraqi 10th, and Iraqi 17th Armored. And we're outnumbered hugely. And all the there's about 1,000 American tanks coming, but we're the lead element. We have 150 tanks, 150 Bradleys, and 79 helicopters, my regiment. We're scouting ahead, just like cavalry always used to do, scout ahead. And we got crash into Saddam Hussein's forces, and it's going to be a big tank battle. We're outnumbered 3-1. And as a tank battle is about to happen, a sand, thunder, and rainstorm rolls in across this flat desert and sits on top of the battlefield, and it blinds the Iraqis and helps us to break their back. I mean, it's just a miracle after miracle, and I'm an eyewitness to this, and that's as a result of people praying. I myself, right before that tank battle, the 12th Iraqi Armor Division swang behind us to outflank my regiment because we were way ahead of everyone else, and they started hitting our supply guys, and they needed help. And we had an attack squadron of helicopters on the ground, and that's it. Everyone else is in the fight. So we had one troop of Cobras, but everyone else is in this massive tank battle that I just described. And so it was quick strike troop. And so quick strike under Captain Magnus needed a couple minutes to get their helicopters going. I was already airborne in a Black Hawk with 8 other men. Wow. And we decided to go to the battlefield to find the enemy and circle it. Now, look, we only had machine guns on our Black Hawk, so all we were going to do is circle the battlefield. So as soon as Quick Strike got there with the Cobras, they could take out the enemy tanks. We couldn't find the enemy, so we went 100 feet above the ground level and real slow flying across the battlefield, very dangerous. And we ran right into the Iraqis behind a ridge, and they saw us. They popped up, all these armored vehicles, and all I saw from out the left door gunner window was fire and smoke. And we should have been dead. My grandma could shot me down. But I alerted the guy next to me that we had flown into an ambush, and we got out of there. But God put his hand of protection over that helicopter and delivered us from certain death.
Wow.
Wow, that's amazing, Doug.
I didn't know your story
I had
in
no
detail.
idea. Yes.
That's amazing.
That is awesome, Doug. And then,
wow.
Our listeners who don't know you or who aren't a part of your district, can you explain to them a little bit about the reason why you chose to go from that career and chose to become a senator then?
So I mean that all happened to me when I was by 28 years old. So I'm not even 30 yet. And this rolling into Kuwait City after the Marines liberated it and seeing the Kuwaitis loving us, and we just had so many good experiences there. And I bounced around the world in the States, 12 years out of the country, 12 moves, and Rebbe describes it as interesting. It's like every move, it's like your house vomits its contents onto the property, and it shows up somewhere else after a while. It's just a rough life, a lot of time away.
Yeah.
But as I was retiring in late 2017, so now I'm going on 3 years, I was really having a hard time with the realization. I was reflecting on my career. All I ever wanted to do in life was be in the Army, and I did that. And when I got too old, the Army was like, okay, you probably need to retire now. I'm like, I don't want to go. My last tour in Afghanistan some years before, I did look in the mirror, and I had aged 10 years on that combat deployment. So I'm like, yeah, I get it. It's a young man's business or a young person's business. And so anyway, I was reflecting on all that I had done, and my heart was broken with the realization that I was handing over everything to the next generation in pretty bad shape. And so I was complaining about that. And one thing led to another, and I ended up in politics.
Okay, so you have been in politics. For those of you who don't, just kind of speak to that. I know a lot of people are on here that are following you, Doug, but how long have you been a senator of Adams County, parts of York, and Franklin County?
Yeah, I have an extensive time in the Senate, a whole year and a half.
Yeah.
You just passed your year anniversary.
Yeah, back in June, so I'm pushing a year and a half now. Woo! It sure takes a lot longer than that, though. So much has happened in that interlude. I mean, it's been such a bizarre time, and it's a bit frustrating to me because you have a junior senator. I'm not the most junior. There's actually a newer one than I am, but you have one of the most junior senators leading the charge on freedom here. Because for every American, this should be personal. What Governor Wolf and Levine has done to us. It's not political. It's personal. He's attacked our basic freedoms here. He's lied to us. He's deceived. He's manipulating data. Yeah. He's taking a non-scientific approach. He's using this for fear and for control, and not because it's really to protect us, because the science is not matching up with what he says. He's even out of step with the United Nations World Health Organization and all his policies and guidance and directives. And that's a bad thing, because the World Health Organization is the last place you want to be told you're out of step with, because they're pretty politicized. And so this is personal. And so for one of the new guys that have to be leading this charge here, I'm ashamed and embarrassed by many of my colleagues who stood aside quietly. Look, if they're worried about losing their seat, I don't think no better cause to be fighting for to lose your seat over than basic freedoms, But in the end, I think their cautiousness here. Sometimes some of my colleagues act like tenured professors, in a university. They have their chair, and they don't want to lose that chair and take any risk to lose it. And so that's a darn shame, because the people have elected us to uphold your constitutional rights and freedoms. We take an oath on a Bible when we're sworn in to uphold the Constitution of Pennsylvania and the United States of America. For me, that's personal. And so that's why, look, I'm no one special, but it's a big deal to me that Governor Wolf feels like he could trample on our feet and deceive and lie to us as well. And for so many people not to care, it just really boggles my mind.
Exactly.
So do you think, because of your background, your story that you just shared, Doug, like I had an idea, but I didn't know it was that like you literally might not be here right now, and that you're here for a purpose and a bigger reason. But yes, for you as a senator fighting for the entire state of Pennsylvania, because you're not just we say, well, he's not our senator, but he is our senator, even though you're not a senator in our district, right? But do you believe, because of everything you've been through, being a veteran and fighting, you physically fighting and fighting for your life and to save people, that made a difference in what you're doing in the fight for Pennsylvania right now? Just trying to think how to word it.
Yes, it sure does, because for any veteran, you put your uniform on, you're willing to lay down your life for a friend. Like Jesus said in Gospel of John 15, I think verse 8. And so it does give you perspective, and it shows you how important freedom is. That I've watched countless thousands of young men and women being sent to the four corners of the earth, myself being one of them, here to defend our basic freedoms far, far away. But now we've never imagined or dreamed that we'd have a governor that feels like he could trample on our freedoms for no real scientific reason. Back in March, we all took the precautions. We all said, okay, let's be, every one of us was careful about it. And after 2 weeks, where we promised to just be a couple weeks, the governor promised us just 2 weeks, we flattened the curve. There was no spike, in the hospitals, the respirators, there's always plenty out there. And we were lied to, and he kept on moving the goalposts here. And that he's using this for a political advantage here to try to get some kind of political gain for an election is sickening to me. And we see how, look, and I know people are a bit jaded about politics, and I am too, because, when you hear politicians talk, and I'm not a politician, by the way.
No, you're not.
I'm an elected official.
That's why we connect with you, Doug. You're not a politician. That's why we love you. Yes.
The day I become a politician is the day I need to resign and just do something else. I could be doing something, making a lot of money. A job I turned down paid $20,000 more than a Pennsylvania senator makes, has foreign travel, working on strategy, stuff I'm trained for. But I'm not going to ride off to the sunset. And I'm asking veterans now no longer to ride off to the sunset, because too much is at stake. Everything we fought for and hold dear is at risk. And I think also we need to stop settling for people who are unworthy of the office. You hear me often say, I walk into the Capitol and I do feel really unworthy. I look at the majesty and grandeur of that Capitol. I go to the rotunda, and as I walk up to the steps in awe, and I read the words of William Penn, we let us be the seat of a nation, which we are, Pennsylvania is. But then I go past Fetterman's office, I'm like, yeah, I guess I could be here too if he can be here, because you see how he dumbs down the office with that high school cannabis flag, that he thinks that's appropriate in that beautiful building with so much history and so much sacrifice, that he could just dumb it down because he has some kind of weird thing. That'd be neat in high school. Hey, dude, that's a cool flag, but we're not in high school anymore. You're a lieutenant governor. Act like it.
Exactly.
And I actually love that you brought it up, because when thanks to you, got to do the tour of the Capitol.
That was awesome.
Yes, thank you. That was a dream come true, Doug. Let me tell you. That was on my bucket list, and just that we got to do it, that was amazing. So I want to say thank you. But just to be able to stand there in awe of history and see, and just realize how many people come before you that have stood there, that how many laws have been made. If every single representative elective in the House of Representatives and Senate do not realize how powerful it is to be in that position and to realize where they are in that building, then they don't deserve to be there, honestly. I mean, I stood in awe of history as we were in the Senate chambers. I mean, wow, just an amazing experience to be able to be a senator and to be there and to sit in the seat of how many past people. I mean, that's history right there. So many great things have happened in that Capitol building. So if you don't take that seriously every single day that you walk into there and realize how lucky you are that you are elected to continue the greatness of Pennsylvania, you should not be there. You should leave. Obviously, that's not the
Wolf's never there. So
that's true. How many times have you done Where's Wolf? True. Where's Wolf? What was it? Episode 30, 31? I don't know that he hasn't been there.
He feels embarrassed to go to work.
It's gonna like be a new job when he shows up. It's been 7 months right now. I mean, it's like, wow, this is a nice comfy chair.
Somebody else might take his spot. Hint, hint. Just open up the door, ask for the key, and just start sitting down. Hey, we have your door. Look at that.
We got people just going,
yeah, see? They all approve. You can take a spot right now. Look at that.
Like it was that easy, Rachel.
Yeah, isn't that? You fire one, you get in another. That's how it's going with us. No. In all seriousness, what I did, I'm just a little bit, if you can just talk about what we have in the House right now, aka the Declaration of Suspension, impeachment, and there was one other, why is my mind going blank? HR 836, where all of those stand. If you can tell our audience what's going on with those.
So, and I'll be quick on this here.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a long.
Yes, just really quick. Just an overview of where we stand.
There's a lot of things that we've done over the past several months to try to end this emergency order and restore your freedoms here. And there's a lot of legislation, and the Governor Wolf has vetoed it all because he doesn't want to give up any of his power, which is a darn shame because he's not working for the people. He's working for himself and party politics. Okay, 836. The House has it. They could vote on it every day they want to try to override the governor's emergency powers. We need 2/3. We always fall woefully short because so few Democrats are willing to break with their party politics, so unwilling to break with their governor and his edicts that they stand against us. And I'm really sick and tired of these party politics. I don't know how the Democrats, they could say they're a party of the people and they are not. I have seen no evidence of that in 7 months. They might say the right things, but they don't do the right thing. With a politician, you got to watch what they do and not what they say, because they'll butter you up with all the flattery and kindness in the world. And we hear that with 836. Oh, but it's not time. It's premature. Okay, so when is it not premature anymore?
Right.
So 836 is alive, but in effect, it's dead in the water until more Democrats are willing to stand up for their people. The Declaration of Suspension, Daryl Metcalf, he's a great thinker. He's a great man, and he came up with articles of suspension, looking at the state constitution, Section 1. The legislative body can suspend certain laws. That can't go anywhere until we have enough Republicans co-sponsoring it. We're not even close to what we need in the House and Senate. We only have 9 Republicans. We have to get 26. So Republicans, we're our own worst enemy. Why would they not sign this? Even if they have, I have concerns or reservations. I talked to an attorney. Oh, that's nice. Attorneys have legal opinions. It's their opinion. We are the General Assembly. We should be able to interpret that ourselves as opposed to listening to what an attorney says. Listen to their interpretation. But anyway, so that's dead in the water until enough Republicans sign up to move it. And then finally, the articles of impeachment. Daryl Metcalf has also introduced 5 articles of impeachment. This hearing and impeachment trial should have been held in August, in September, but it hasn't gone anywhere because, once again, not enough Republicans have signed up to co-sponsor it. So it's dead. And all 3 of these initiatives are sitting in a House. All 3 have to come from the House in this case.
Okay, so what's our biggest hope for Pennsylvania going forward? Our
biggest hope is to end this catastrophe, to return power to the people, to disenfranchise and disempower the governor who's acting tyrannical. He's acting like the great Oz and the Wizard of Oz here, they ignore the man behind the curtain, fire and smoke. To win back your freedoms and liberties, here's what we need to do. It's pretty easy. On the 3rd of November, vote Republican and give us a supermajority in the House and Senate, and we could stop Wolf in his tracks.
Exactly.
Amen.
And what else? And
vote for Doug.
Oh, my cat's back there.
Okay.
She's going to walk us through people.
Instead of Bunny, we have her cat. Where's Bunny? Oh, there's Bunny.
Oh,
yay, special guest star. Yes, brought Bunny. That's awesome. But
That's
yeah,
so cool.
November 3rd, everyone, please make sure you get out and vote for Senator Doug Mastriano. As he always says, walk as free people. Doug, I'm actually going to be working at one of your polling locations in Shippensburg. I am so happy to do it.
Thank you.
Guys for doing this for me. It's the first time I've ever done anything like this. So it should speak volumes of my support for this man. I'm driving over 2 hours to actually do this for him. So it should speak volumes of my support for him again. So make sure November 3rd, when you get out, if you're a part of his district, please make sure you get out and vote for him. And hopefully one day, I don't know if we can say it or not, but you know, everybody would love for you to run for governor for the state of Pennsylvania. So keep that in mind. I know it's got to be God-led, so we're all in prayer for you.
Thank you for helping us out. I do appreciate it. I'm honored and thankful for you.
You are very welcome, Doug. It is a privilege. I am so excited to do it. Let me tell you, like I said, it's my first time doing anything like this. I know I've talked to you before. I've never been political at all. So this is my first time getting involved with politics and supporting a senator. So, or supporting any elected official, I should say, period. Like before this, it was only musical artists like Danny Goki. Got to give him a plug. So, my guy. But anyways, little tangent down the rabbit hole. Squirrel.
That's okay. Oh my goodness.
No, in all seriousness, Doug, it has been a pleasure to get to know you and pleasure to call you a friend. And thank you so much for everything you have done for the citizens of Pennsylvania. We see your heart, we see your passion, we see your dedication, and I can't thank you enough. So thank you, Doug.
It's an honor. Thank you.
And I also want to say thank you for being an elected official who is not afraid to speak the name of Jesus. Thank you. That is such a high honor. I've never heard an elected official speak the name of Jesus or not being ashamed to speak the name of Jesus.
Talk about that.
I know. You are amazing. Yeah. Keep it going. God is using you in a time such as this. So.
Well, you know, it's kind of weird. You know, I wasn't raised, you know, in a family that was a born again, you know, Christian family. And, you know, we had a religion, and when I became a Christian at 15 years old, my family, my parents were really appalled by that. And they gave me a really hard time about it. It was not a fun experience. You know, normally a very kind family, but they were repulsed by my commitment to the Lord. It was a bad experience growing up with that. They too much to talk about. But all my life, it seems like people want to tell me I can't talk about my faith. And I'm like, I'm an American. Anybody can be whatever they want to be in America. So why should I be ashamed of my faith? And
exactly.
I went through a hard time in the 90s during the beginning of the Clinton era. I had a commander that was one of Clinton's best friends, this colonel, and I was a captain. And he went out of his way to try to destroy my career. And I had the best. I was a company commander. I had the best company, best. It was. I received it broken. There was a suicide before I got it. There was all kinds of other soldiers, you know, attempting suicide, and I was going to be given an easy company to take care of. But my battalion commander just told me, Doug, I'm going to give you Alpha Company, and you need to fix it. So I had to go in really hard to restore discipline, and I did. And then a new commandant came in. And he just despised me for my faith. And I had a sergeant major there who he was a good guy, but him and I never saw eye to eye on anything. You know, anytime I'd see him, he'd argue with me about some policy or what have you. And this one day he came over to me, and I just had a meeting with my troops. I had about 400 soldiers in this company. It's a massive company. And he came over and like, oh, here we go again. He's like, hey, I need to talk to you, sir. I'm like, oh boy. He's like, look, the commandant told me he's going to do all he can to destroy your career because you're a Christian. And I told him, you can't do that. And he said, and the sergeant major said, I told the colonel, I said, I walked out of that office and said, I'm going straight to Mastriano, let him know that you're plotting against him. And so I survived that assignment by God's grace. I ended up in the 3rd Infantry Division with a Master Sergeant Grimsley as my senior NCO. And I'm a bit damaged goods at this point here. But he really gave me so much courage as this Master Sergeant Tony Grimsley. He was asked, you know, now I'm being a little guarded about my faith because I've really taken a beating. And one time he goes, you know, and he saw that, but he didn't rebuke me publicly. He had a good way of doing it. He goes, you know, I was just asked by our division artillery sergeant major to say a prayer at the ceremony. And Grimsley said to me, he's a sergeant major, and he's talking to me. Because Sergeant Major, because this is the time where everyone's being discouraged praying in Jesus' name for some reason. And goes, Sergeant Major, I'll be happy to pray, but I'm only praying in Jesus' name because no power in any other name. well, I won't say anything if I can't pray without the power behind him. And of course, that Sergeant Major was like, yeah, I'm happy to have you. Go ahead and do it. And so when Tony Grimsley said that to me, I was really convicted. And I was like, you know what? I've been acting ashamed of the Lord because I was persecuted for so long. And so it's just, if you're a Christian, why can't you just be who you are and not ashamed of it? And so fast forward a few years, now I'm on C-SPAN, my first time on C-SPAN back in, I don't know, 2015 or something. And as I'm laying out the testimony and story of Alvin York, America's greatest hero from 1918, and the key point to his story is his Christian faith. And he's held up today as a model soldier by the United States Army, even today, despite his Christian witness. And so I'm setting up there at Norwich University up in being spammed by the Senate. I'm up in Vermont. It's April. It's still snowy day up there, and I'm setting up, and I hear this voice in my head saying, "You better be careful about this whole Jesus thing because you're going to have millions of people across the nation watching this." And then a verse flashed through my mind from Jesus in the Gospels says, "If you deny me before men, I'll deny you before my Father in heaven." So I made sure that in that lecture, which is online, you can watch it on cspan.org, that of course I was very clear about, we American Christians, we like to hide behind, vague faith terms. People of faith. He accepted the Lord. No, I'm like, Alvin went up and accepted Jesus as the Lord and Savior. I mean, it's very clear that there was no ambiguity. So let's just be bold about it. We're not obnoxious. Of course, the media wants to paint Christians as being obnoxious and all. Actually, the obnoxious people are on the left. I never have gotten anyone's face about my faith. I'm always respectful and courteous, as 99.9% Christians are. But the left, if you disagree with them, they're in your face. They're calling you names. You're a fill-in-the-blank phobe. You're a hater. You're a bigot, intolerant. And I found them to be the most intolerant, bigoted people in the world. This one guy, there's an enclave of radicals, sadly, in Gettysburg, thanks to the college and the seminary. And this one guy was launching all these nasty attacks. And then I never engaged these people personally. And thank God I have, supporters that do. But I'm like, what's this guy's beef? Why is he so full of hate and intolerance and bigotry? He's a leftist. I go to his page, and he actually he's some kind of open-minded person. He quotes from Dalai Lama, his cover photo. Dalai Lama says, always be kind whenever possible, and there's always time to be kind. And I'm like, this guy here is such a hypocrite, and they're like modern day Pharisees. They think they're all this righteousness and holiness, but and I've seen this from so many of them. I'll go to their pages. One middle-aged lady there, a vile person, but on her page she pretends to be so open-minded, and holy. And actually, with her, I did say, so I here's a screenshot from your page. This is one of the rare times I engage. So how is what you claim to be true when you're saying all this about me?
Exactly.
Wow.
And of course,
yeah.
There was no responsibility or ownership. Of course, they want to become victims. They want to rationalize it. Just say, instead of being a person of honor like we would be, and say, yeah, that was out of line. That's out of sync. But I believe, because we all have low periods. I get it. Yeah. But how do you rationalize with somebody who thinks they're so righteous, but in their behavior, they're just terrible.
Right.
And I think one thing I'm going to be honest about struggling with as a Christian is praying for those people. And especially, as much as I disagree with Wolf, and I just can never, ever advocate for him. But anyways, it is
very difficult.
And as a Christian, you're called to pray for them. And you're called, and I constantly pray for him every night saying, Lord, soften his heart, Lord, open his eyes. And that's what we're called to do, is pray for people we don't agree with, or, our enemies. And we can't condemn those, because we're going to be, met with the same condemnation, and same thing with judgment. The Lord will judge us with the same judgment we pass on others. So I think that's the thing with the Christian that I'm really struggling with, is being able to,
I just say, Lord, get rid of his tyranny.
Like, Lord, help him. Like, that's the thing I struggle with, is like what's going on, like knowing that I have to do that, but at the same time, like, do you see what's going on, God? Like, do you see him? Do something.
There is some silver lining, though. There is some silver lining. We've met so many amazing people. And I mean, Doug, I didn't even know who you were before all this. So it's just been a blessing. And you've been the voice of Pennsylvania. And I can't thank you enough for everything that you've done and everything that you're currently doing. And
exactly.
I'm just so grateful for you.
Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't want to cry. I'm so grateful. And everybody in Pennsylvania needs to vote you back in. Exactly. And you've been Pennsylvania's hope.
Yes, you are.
Wow.
And I have seen how much you've grown. I mean, I first met you back at Taste of Sicily at the press conference. What was that, March or April, when I first found out, who you are, and just to see how much you've grown with, all your fans and supporters. And it's just amazing to have watched you from start to now to the present. So thank you, Doug, like I said, so much. I mean, you have done so much for us, and you're truly one of the voices out there. I mean, there's Russ Diamond, Frank Ryan, we'll put them a plug in because they've been fighters as well. We can't forget about them. But, seriously, if it wasn't for you guys, honestly, I don't know where we'd be. But thank you for being our voice. Thank you just for being so transparent and honest with the citizens of Pennsylvania. I mean, you've been outstanding, or as you say, fantastic. Right? Fantastic.
Yes. Another Dougism there. I love it.
No dithering.
That's right. We don't dither here.
Yes, we don't dither.
Dither.
And as what was it? If we have to hang together, or else we'll hang separately.
That's right. Benjamin Franklin gets the credit on that one. So, it has been a dark 7 months in Pennsylvania, and the silver lining is indeed the fact that we've met each of you. We would not have met you guys, so we could, in this regard, we could thank Wolf, sort of, I guess. I'd rather that we didn't have these circumstances that drew us together here, that we just had our freedoms here. But in spite of that here, I'm thankful that there is goodness that came out of it here, because we have a new generation of leaders. You both are the new generation's leader. I mean, you're doing this show here that's reaching people across the state. It's a big deal. Mm-hmm. Volunteering at polls, working on a political campaign, stuff that most of us never wanted or dreamt of doing here, but we see the necessity of it. And if we do move beyond after Senate to a higher office here, it's going to take a lot of help out there from folks like you to make that happen, because there is an establishment. Now, look, there is no greater, stronger, louder, broader voice in all of Pennsylvania than us. That's a fact. We reach between 5 and 10 million people a month. That's a fact on my 2 pages, my various platforms. 5 to 10 million people across the state. I mean, that's of a population of 13 million. That is just magnificent. And I haven't paid a cent for advertising in over a year and a half. A year, okay, about a year. So during this crisis, I haven't paid a cent. So it's all organic, as they call it here. But despite this reach here and touching every corner of the state and having supporters in all 67 counties, there's swamp dwellers in our party. There's members of committee that will say, and they'll say all the typical lies, because they have rhinos they want to elect, and thank God that the leading contender decided to opt out. And when Toomey announced that he was not going to run, that's interesting. The week before, I had prayed. I said, God, if you really want me to run for office here, you have to clear the field. And Toomey would have been the biggest challenger, because he has, although he has a lot of dislike across the state, he does have infrastructure. He's been in politics a long time, since Arlen Specter. And when he announced that he was not only going to, leave his seat when the term expired in the federal Senate, but he was not going to run for governor, that was a political earthquake in Pennsylvania that opened the field up. Mm-hmm. You would think that they would be just natural then for people that don't want to have a leader and a fighter, someone who's actually been doing the job for 7 months, and almost nobody has, just a handful. You mentioned most of them there in the lineup. That they would gravitate towards me, but there's still, a lot of the old establishment types like, well, we don't think he can do this, and it's all the same old stuff. So they're the same people that gave us Romney, the people that gave us Toomey, the people that gave us McCain, Bob Dole. They want an old dinosaur who's paid his dues, whose vote might be owned. They're predictable, maybe in the pocket of lobbyists, and that's not me. And so I do have some counties already willing to throw their support behind me if we announce for governor. And without even campaigning for it, I have counties that are lined up to throw their support behind me. But I'm surprised in some counties nearby, they're like, oh, we don't. What do they say? First off, the old chestnut that they like to use on real conservatives, on people they can't control. He can't win in Philadelphia. I mean, That's nonsense. And I don't believe those lies here. They don't know who I am. So, unlike a lot of these old tired dinosaurs who've only worked with people of their same color here, I was in the Army and I worked with people of all backgrounds, and skin color matters nothing to me, and it does not mean anything to me today as well. I know it's strange for these old tired dinosaurs since they haven't worked that environment here, but I've led men and women from across the nation and across the world as well, and I could care less about anyone's skin color. All I care about getting the job done, just like any good American would. I met Rebbe outside of Philly. My grandma is from Philly. My great grandfather, when he came from Sicily, settled in Philly, worked on the railroad there. One of the most menial jobs, laying tracks. And so we have a great depth at Philadelphia. I think we'll make headway there, and I think we'll make a lot of gains. So when the old dinosaurs say he can't win Philly, well, maybe not, but I'll get a lot more of a margin, and I'm not afraid to go into the churches. I will make my case to the African American churches there as a born-again Christian who's not ashamed of his faith, and you watch what happens there. So that they're saying things just to try to write me off. They say, so the next chestnut that they'll say, and it's all predictable, he can't raise money. Well, thanks to the people of Pennsylvania, we've raised quite a bit of money this cycle here, and it's mostly small donations, but we've proven by people, and this is the first time that I'd say 80% of donors have donated money to any campaign before. Thank you.
You're the only one I've ever donated to, Doug. The only one.
And you gave us a pretty large chunk of change. I thank you for that huge investment in us. So thank you. But
and trust in you.
Stepping up like that, it's risky, and that's your hard-earned money. I don't take that lightly. So we don't spend the money on travel or food. It goes straight to the campaign. And so we've proven that we can raise money, and so that old chestnut's off the table now. So they have no excuse other than just wanting some kind of rhino. And if they select a rhino this go around, we're going to lose in the general election, because you saw what happened between Mango and Wagner there. That was a catastrophe. The party in Pennsylvania managed to disenfranchise about a third of the voters that didn't show up, and we ended up with Wolf, a second term here. So the focus, first off, is winning the primary. And I can tell you that if we go in this race, if we have the kind of support that we have from people like you across the state, which we do have now, we will sweep the primary. Then there'll be 15, 20 candidates running. We'll sweep it. If we get into this, we'll win it overwhelmingly. And then the focus will be on the whole state as in a total. The last, and I'll stop here in a second. The last thing that the old dinosaurs will use is he's too conservative. So what's too conservative about loving America? What's too conservative about upholding freedoms and values? We've proven here we have a coalition across the state standing together for our basic freedoms here. We might not agree on all the issues, and that's fine. We are Big Tent. We're open-minded. We are really tolerant. And so let's figure out what we have in common. So obviously our campaign will be focused on restoring Pennsylvania's greatness and restoring freedom and liberty to Pennsylvania. And that's something that all people get on board with, whether moderate or conservative or somewhere in between. So you know what, the old dinosaurs in these committees, I would ask people in each of your county, if we do get in, that you challenge them and ask them kindly, why would they not support somebody like me, somebody who's actually poured his life into defending our freedoms here.
Exactly.
Who's not in it for the money. I've turned down the retirement, which is a sweet program here. It's a beautiful retirement program. I don't take a Senate car. I don't charge you gas when I'm doing my job. These are all the perks that have corrupted the people in Harrisburg here. I don't take the per diem. The only time I would take it, though, for clarity's sake, if the Senate sends me, halfway across the state, like in any business or in the military, of course you'd have your accommodations and your travel paid for. If it's legitimate like that, but if it's within my district or driving back and forth to Harrisburg, most of my job, no, I don't do that. So, what else would people want in a governor? What else? So if the dinosaurs can't get behind it, maybe it's time for some people to try to replace them when the seats open up in your county.
Well, you have an army behind you, Doug, who is rooting for you to run for governor. You would have people going out, knocking on doors. Making people vote for you, telling them all the great qualities you have and possess. You have so many people who would go out there and root for you and advocate for you and support for you if you choose that path to run for governor. You have our full 150% support if you run for governor. We would be blessed. You know how I always bug you about a job. Hi, I'm here. Still here, Doug. Still here. Poor Doug.
Be walking down the street going, Doug Mastriano, holding up signs.
I have a very clear vision, and I'm developing a statewide vision right now that's going to lay out my agenda and plan, and it's going to be stunning. It's going to be unlike any vision anyone has seen for Pennsylvania since the '80s, I think. Since Governor Thornburg, he was, in my mind, he was our last good governor back in the '80s. That's far too long, and then he was not, he was a swamp dweller. He was a man of honor and integrity. And even who came in behind him, Casey's dad, not Bob Casey, but Casey's dad was also a good man. He was a Democrat and extremely pro-life, and he was also a man of honor. So why has it been so long since we've had, 30 years since we've had somebody decent in office? We need to stop settling. We need to stop telling us, listening to the old establishment types, but we think this person's electable, and no, it's not. No, they're not. And we need somebody who's going to be bold and audacious. The first day in office, making changes. Every political, one mistake Trump made, and I love Donald Trump, but one mistake he made was he didn't get rid of all the political appointees from Obama, and that worked against him. We will, the first day, we will give fired notices to all the political appointees from the past 8 years. They will be gone. There might be an exception or two if they're proven to be decent citizens, but any political hack here, I'm appalled at the swamp that I've had to deal with here. Everything from the spokesperson to the state police, whose derision and disregard of my military service, who mocked me publicly, to I can't imagine anyone doing that. It was ridiculous. And to the abuse of powers by the Liquor Control Enforcement Board, finding my friend in Gettysburg the very same day she was closed at the rally, 2 rallies ago in Harrisburg, and I sent that letter and I said, don't you dare give me a bureaucratic answer on why this is not accurate. And they gave me a bureaucratic answer. It's time to clean freaking house. I'm looking at about a 10%. There's about 80,000 people that work for the governor, for Governor Wolf. We're looking at least starting with a 10% across the board cut, cutting the fat. This COVID here has shown that we don't need so many, because I go drop off my campaign paperwork at Department of State there, and 90% of them working from home. How effective is that? Not very. Thank God there's 1 or 2 ladies in the back there, still working it real hard, but they would stay on.
Yes, bring Kelly. We love Kelly.
153 regulations in Pennsylvania that are infringing upon your freedoms and rights and your ability to run your business. I would mandate it. We reduce cut those by 1/3. I want that under 100,000 regulations. So it's going to be more every 1 new regulation that's introduced at DEP or elsewhere. They're going to have to cut 3 or 4 more. Trump's done 2 for 1. We're going to go for more than that, because it's just out of control here. The state has a death grip on our necks here, and I want everybody in Pennsylvania to enjoy the freedoms and the opportunities they should. Look, the places that have the most severe systemic racism, since that's a topic of the moment, are the Democrat-controlled cities. We have not had a Republican mayor of Philadelphia since 1952. It's funny that those that run these big cities claim to be, all about, opportunity and freedom here, but they perpetuate lies, they perpetuate racism, they perpetuate a plantation mentality where the government's going to take care of you. And I say rather give people in all our places, whether the city or out in the countryside here, the same opportunities. And the way to do that is reduce the tax burden and the regulation of their lives. Let's just unleash the potential of Pennsylvania. We should be the leader of this nation here. But thanks to rhino policies and failed Democrat policies, we're in the bottom tier of the states. We're the 12th most highest spender on education in the nation, and we're in the bottom half. We're 28th in quality of students, and that's going down now severely thanks to Governor Wolf's failed policies of shutting down schools for no scientific reason.
Exactly.
Yeah, I myself, we're both dealing with a mess with our kids in school. In fact, the school just tried to call me while we were on this morning show, but yeah, it's a mess. It's a mess. And currently in this war, I feel like, is this really happening right now? Like, they're so liberal. Yeah. And I don't even want to say that. I just feel like I'm like, are these people communists? Like, what is wrong with them? It's making it really difficult, and it's frustrating for anyone to have kids in school right now. And thank goodness my oldest has graduated. He graduated this year. He's a 2020 graduate. So that was difficult, but he's like, Mom, at least I'm done. I'm done. I wouldn't want to go back. He's like, honestly, if this was my 12th grade year, he's like, I probably would have dropped out. Wow. And it's like, that's scary to me. And then I have two that are in 9th and 7th grade. And my daughter's in 7th grade. She's got an IEP. She's so darn smart. She's full of wisdom. She's got incredible common sense. She just takes a little bit longer to learn the academically, which, okay, it is what it is, right? Everybody's different, but they want to try to dictate, so our school is, just so you know what's going on, we're in Berks County, or I'm in Berks County. Rachel's not.
Lehigh, but same issue.
Berks County, it's Commerce-Weiser Area School District, and they were online for the first, 6 weeks? Mm-hmm. And then they decided, we're going to do hybrid. So we'll do 50% capacity. So it's, alphabet letters, let's see, A through MA, they go to school on Mondays and Thursdays, but they're online on Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. And then the opposite alphabet is, like the other, what is it? MB through Z, then they're, the opposite days that they go in-person instruction and the rest of the days online. And masks and contact tracing and quarantine rooms, like you have to set an appointment to pick up your child at the school. It's absolutely unreal. And if your child isn't within 6 foot distance, they have to, they'll contact you. They have to quarantine for 3 days, and you have to quarantine with your kids. The whole household has to quarantine. Like, it's just a mess. And I'm like, my children are not going back. They're not. I didn't send them on Monday. I said, nope, not going to happen. You guys can log in, do your work. And they went to school online yesterday and today. I've been trying to enroll them in an online program through the school district, and they're giving me a hard time with my daughter who has an IEP. And they're like, no, we want her in school full time, even though it's discriminatory, right? But not everybody else can go full time. And I'm like, no, she's not wearing a mask. Yeah. And so it's this big, huge fight. I don't want contact tracing. I don't want a mask. And I've been in contact with the assistant superintendent and everything, because I have one of the head of the special education department. She's just real. I'm like, seriously, I think she's a communist. It's terrible.
But just saying, just the mess that was created for education. I mean, I know everybody on here has heard my story about why I walked away from being a teacher this year. I just couldn't be a part of what is occurring in the schools right now. I just won't. And I know you all have heard my reasons why, so I won't get into that again. But I mean, what's happened with my daughter and, everything of what's going on with the schools, it's just been really disappointing this year. And I would love nothing more than for something to change, for things to go back like normal. And I hate saying that, because why should they not be not normal? I hate the term new normal. Mm-hmm. It's the worst word in the world. Same thing with social distancing. Those are the words that trigger me. Nope.
They just want to dumb down the next generation. Yeah. That's all. They want to dumb us down, and they want to control us. And that's just the reality. And we just can't allow that to happen. So I know, Doug, I don't want to take up a lot more of your time, but vote red on November 3rd, you guys.
And it sounds like
all red. All Doug Mastriano, please, you guys, if you're in his district, vote him back in for senator. And then keep your eyes open and ears peeled for the
his
next
run. And it looks like, from what you were talking about today, it looks like you're in that direction. So hopefully I'm not getting my hopes up too high.
So I'm a military strategist. I will not get ahead of God on this. Yeah. That's the fact. If God's calling in direction is not to go in this way, that we will not do it. We have too many politicians who are full of selfish ambition, and all they want to do is get rich and rip off the American people. Biden is a personification of the swamp. How does somebody who makes less than $200,000 a year come away as a multi-millionaire? And we see why. There's payoffs, there's access. I mean, this is disgusting. I'm tired of the people playing games with us, getting rich off our backs here, making life miserable. So look, we're waiting for direction, through prayer, but also I'm not going to do it if I don't have a groundswell of support. The people really need to propel Rebbe and I into this here, because we can't do it on our own. It's going to be a life-changing decision. It's a momentous, it's a huge decision. It's one of the largest decisions we're going to make, because this is a big state. We will run across every corner of the state here, and no county will feel left behind. Tioga will be there, Elk will be there, Susquehanna County, all these counties that are neglected. We'll be there making our case here and trying to win you over to our side. But it's I appreciate people who say, hey, I'll vote for you if you do it. But it's I'm asking for more. If you want to have, I'm actually called right now the people's senator, and I love that. So
Hero.
Doug is the people's senator, and I want to be if I'm led to be, to run for office for governor, I want to be the people's governor. But to be the people's governor is going to take the people putting me there, because we're going to face the obstacles of a lot of resistance from the swamp. They'll have big donors that might stand against us initially. There's going to be some fear from somebody from me, because they don't know what to expect from me. I don't know how, though, at this point here, if you don't know how I'm going to operate as a defender of freedom, as I have been in the most important time in our history in modern times, then they haven't been paying attention. I think we've made the case the past 7 months here that all we care about is for Pennsylvania to be free again, that you should be able to choose how to live your life, whether you send your kids to school. This whole, the drama is coming from Wolf. All this drama about education, why is this so? Is it based off of science? It absolutely is not based off of science or expert opinion. And let me back this up here. If you're 25 and under in Pennsylvania, you have 100% chance of recovering from COVID. You have 100% chance, 25 and under in Pennsylvania today, not dying from or with COVID. I'm saying it both ways because Levine plays us. Levine lies to us. Some people actually been in an accident and died from COVID. Oh, but they tested positive. And
you die from something or with something? I think it's from something.
Yes.
So I'm using Levine's own numbers, which are deceitful, exaggerated 2-3 times what reality is. And Levine's acknowledged this. And once again, the media is letting Levine get away with the media. You need to do your freaking jobs. And if there is a Governor Mastriano and you get in my face, suddenly you have intellectual curiosity and suddenly you're going to question my policies. I'm going to disregard you if you're one of those reporters that are around and you did nothing when we needed you to do your job. And so in military intelligence, we have a thing called consider the source. And if you get in my face, you disagree with the policy, I'm going to actually have a file there. Okay, what's your name? Yeah, here's some articles you printed. Philadelphia Inquirer. The Philadelphia Inquirer published a story, by this reporter saying, all those riots and looters Mastriano talks about in Philadelphia. We did a study and not one person spread COVID. But of course, if we go to a Trump rally, we become a super spreader. These people lie. And if you can't be consistent and honest as a reporter, you probably should quit your job and just become an editorialist. But anyway, it's going to have to be a people's movement here, because we'll be standing against resistance both from the liberal wing of the Republican Party and, of course, the Democrats. And both sides, and this is really disheartening to me. I'm in a conservative area. When I ran for the seat, there was 5 of us running for it, Republicans. And I had other Republicans, the same guys that will say, well, thank veterans for their service. And of course, these guys never served, but they're very gracious and kind and very patriotic. But because I was standing in their way running for office there, they dared to attack my military record, just made up lies about him. He never really served in a combat assignment. And they actually had lobbyist swamp dwellers backing them up. So we're going to have to stand together against the lies, the exaggerations. That they would even do that. Somebody spent his entire life in the Army. It just shows you how desperate they are.
Right, exactly.
But together, we're going to have to take on the swamp, Republican swamp, and then the Democrat deceit. The Democrats will just pour lies into the campaign. They'll accuse any opponent of all kinds of phobes and this and that. And we're going to need to fight and push back really hard. We can't walk away. George W. Bush walked away, and he got labeled as a buffoon and clown. And he was not. He was a very smart man, went to Harvard Business School. But we're going to have to push back, and that's going to take the people to do that. I can't fight all these fires across the state. I can't knock on all these doors. It's going to be up to the people. So if you want me, we're going to need a network of 67 counties with hopefully 1,000 hard workers in each county here, and we will own the state. As far as the primary, nobody can stop us. And like I said, primary, come November and December, you're going to see people start jumping in the governor race here. And the whole reason why some of these old cats want to get in is to get people to commit early. Don't commit to them. And if we do it, our announcement will be later. It'll be early next year if it does happen. So be prayerful that we know what's going on here and that we have a team of people across the state that are loyal and hardworking.
And you do already. How many people have told you that they would be willing to do this for you? You got Berks, you got Lehigh Valley, so you got Already right here.
You're known in Berks County. It's kind of funny. I mean, I have a sign out in front of my yard, and everybody's like, "What? Who's Doug? Oh, you can follow him on Facebook." Like, it's crazy, but I'm telling you, I've seen signs here and there in Berks. I'm like, "There's Mastriano. There's his sign." Like, I get so excited because I'm like, okay, it's growing. He's becoming bigger and bigger. And you know what, Doug? I appreciate your integrity, your honesty, and just
transparency,
being transparent, being who you are. And I wish more leaders would do that. And I appreciate you so much. And I know earlier I started crying, so I'm not going to do that again. But but I really, really do. And we need more leaders like yourself that are going to fight for freedom, that are true patriots, that know what it's like, and drain the swamp. And that's exactly what we need to do on November 3rd, and keep it that way.
And at least we know you'll show up at the office.
Yeah.
Where's Doug? Where's Doug? Where's Doug? Oh, wait, there he is.
Could you imagine?
He's there.
And obviously, if as governor, if God leads us, it's going to be a lot harder to stay. And there's a lot of personal touch right now. So I'm like thinking, if God leads us in that direction, how do we maintain that? And the live streams will have to continue. Walking around the Capitol and bumping into people is going to continue to happen. Walking down and talking to the senators and reps and to negotiate is going to happen. I'm not going to be hiding in some basement, like we're seeing with our current governor. It's just disgusting. He's given us an example of a very bad leader.
Or the other runner of president.
Yeah.
Sleepy Joe Biden.
That's what he calls him. But yes, and that's what I truly love about you, Doug, is that you're very accessible. I mean, you will stay to the last person at each one of your events to make sure you interact with them and talk with them. You have no idea what that means to us. That is so touching. And just the fact that we're important to you, and you show that we're important to you. What other elected official does that? Stays to the very end and past your time to show us you care and that we're important to you? Hardly anybody. I've never had that.
That's because they're supposed to stand with the people, for the people, by the people. I didn't even say that the right way, but
by the people, for the people.
By the people, by the people, for the people. But he stands with us and he listens to us.
Exactly. He listens to our concerns. Exactly.
Yeah. Yep. So
thank you, Doug.
It's, if you care about people, it just makes sense that you stay and talk to people. I don't like, I don't like how politicians, they whisk into an event late and then they're whisked away. So really, and there's people that come out because they have a lot of people just want to say hi and get a picture, but other people have real issues. And at any of my Senate events, I always have a staffer. And some people are like, why does he bring a staffer with? Because if there's a hard issue there, I can't deal with it on the spot. So I have my staffer get their contact information so we can try to help people. And we, obviously we can't help every issue. We sure, by God, try. And I don't care where you're from in Pennsylvania. As far as I'm concerned, if you're in Pennsylvania, you're one of my people. As the people's senator, and I'm happy to try to help you the best we can. We've helped people in Philadelphia because a lot of my Democrat colleagues during this crisis have shut down their offices and they're still closed. And so people are desperate. We've had people call us during the riots in Philadelphia begging for help because their senators and their police officers aren't answering the phones. And we pick up and we've actually had to talk people off from killing themselves. I mean, it's been a dark time in Pennsylvania, but elected officials, so many have been missing in action.
Wow. And this is why you're the people's senator, Doug. I truly feel the Lord has called you up for this moment. He is using you in so many ways. And I'm telling you, when you get up to heaven, you're going to be receiving so many crowns from the Lord himself. And I cannot wait to be there to witness that.
So at one of the first reopen, so the rally started with Matt Bellis and Reopen PA. And so I did my Levine Must Resign, and it was about 200 people showed up for that. The steps, and I had my Afghanistan scarf.
Yes.
And as I was walking around that day, and then it was followed by 2 Reopen PA rallies, I think in April and May after that. And then we picked up the mantle with our freedom rallies. But I'm walking around talking to people, and this one lady grabbed me, and somebody took a screenshot of it. And I was doing a live stream. Hey, how has COVID affected you? How you doing? And this lady's like, I was about to commit suicide, and then I listened to you, and I stopped. And somebody screenshot a look on my face. There was like, I'm like, oh my gosh. I mean, you have no idea the impact that you have. So your show here is reaching a lot of people. It might save a life. You guys are giving hope to people here. So that's why these days here, Rebbe and I try to end our rallies with speaking a blessing, because the governor and Levine and Fetterman have been speaking curses over Pennsylvania. And we believe we're in a spiritual struggle here, and we speak life over people, and nobody should feel alone. And we stand with you. You call my office if you're in desperate help. We'll try to help you here. Look, we're not trained counselors here. We'll hear you out, and we'll try to connect with a pastor or a counselor that can help you, work through any hard issues. This has been a dark time because thanks to the shutdown, the lockdown, people have been subjected to domestic abuse and all the fear and pressure and uncertainty. Substance abuse, of course, is spiking. And so this is a great time, an important time for us really to rise up and look out for our neighbor.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
I'm telling you. Doug, like I said,
that's just, wow. I didn't realize that all that was going on either. And I think there were more riots in Philadelphia last night.
Yeah.
So we have riots broke out. There was a tragedy. A man apparently with a mental disorder. His mom says, I don't know the details, but he had a knife. When he came at police, he didn't drop the weapon, and the police shot him. And it's a tragic, terrible situation. The next morning, Lieutenant Governor Fetterman, in sick, disgusting tweet, great things are happening in Philadelphia. So great things are happening in Philadelphia. Innocent people are being injured. 30 police officers were hospitalized, injured and hospitalized. Thousands of looters are breaking into stores, stealing private property. People are living in fear. The city's being destroyed. They're gutting out this network here. The mayor of the city is incompetent. He's a Democrat with failed policies, tying the hands of the police. And Lieutenant Governor Fetterman thinks in his little bunker in Braddock, PA, that great things are happening in Philly. And we deserve better, Pennsylvania. He has his little pot signal by his flag, his weeds leaf. And this guy here thinks great things are happening. That is not the kind of Pennsylvania I want, or any person should want. People want peace and safety. They want to be able to walk as free people down the street without being afraid for their lives. And so, Fetterman and his cabal are the first to blame the police. How is that the police fault? And by the way, if this is about racial justice, I don't know what looting has to do with racial justice.
Stealing from businesses. Now, what I don't understand, Doug, is why doesn't the governor come out and condemn looting and rioting and say, if this keeps up, and then threaten? I mean, I know he can't really threaten, but do the force of law and say you're going to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of law to deter what is happening. Why doesn't he come out and say that? I know you as governor, if you would definitely come out and say something.
Don't remember, because he's for evil.
Okay, but no, in all seriousness, he should be coming out on public TV and going, I condemn this. Why is he not coming out and saying, I condemn these acts? Violence is not acceptable in the state of Pennsylvania. I just don't get why he is not saying that.
Leave it up to Democrat to politicize everything. Some law and order should not be a Democrat-Republican issue, but the Democrat Party views it as a politicization, and if they do anything, it's going to work against their political agenda. And my position is and you notice the left and the leftist media never asked our governor, Levine or Fetterman, to renounce, Antifa violence, to renounce the looting. But they'll ask Republicans, will you renounce white supremacists? They've asked President Trump that 38 times, and we have now a video I posted on my Fighting for Freedom page. 38 times he's rejected it, but every time they pretend he's never rejected. But they never apply the same standard to us because they're full of lies and deceit. We need order. We need peace in the state. The city should be secure locations where you can walk down the road without looking over your back. Mm-hmm. And the failed policies of the Democrat Party has destroyed our cities. Philadelphia should be a beacon of light. That's where so much has happened. That's where our own William Penn established himself with the Indians peacefully, and it's become a terrible place here thanks to the failed policies of the Democrat. It's time to wake up, Philadelphia. Every election cycle, those Democrat politicians with their slick words make these promises. They use racial terminology, but they never deliver results. They leave you in the plantation, and it's time for you just to take a look around and say, you know what, maybe we should try something else. And so, President Trump has delivered for the African American community like no other president has since Abraham Lincoln, and he's delivered results. And it's just time to take a look around here, and you deserve better than failed policies of a rich, wealthy white governor who's wanted for nothing and has done nothing for your community here. He does not speak truth. He does not care about what your life is. All he wants is your votes, and then he disappears till the next election cycle. And I'm tired of politicians of every ilk and every party who lie to us here. We want truth and we want security. And so I think we have so much in common. I want people, whether they're in Philadelphia or in Franklin County or up in Erie or anywhere in between or Allegheny, you should be able to have all the same opportunities equally. And in the big cities, you have been deprived of these opportunities because of these schools that are falling apart. There's no accountability. Instead of teaching things that are useful in life here, you're getting indoctrinated with political crap. And it's time just to lift the unfunded mandates being shoved down their throats by our Department of Education, and let's just learn the basics. Here's what you need to succeed in life, and we'll equip each kid with what they need to get the job done. There should be school choice across the state, especially in the cities. You should be able to pick the school you want to send your kids to, so you're not stuck in a rat hole school that's falling apart with no accountability. If you want a homeschool, if you want a cyber school, if you want to do something in between or go to school across town because they have a proven record, you should have school choice.
Exactly.
I love that.
I love it too. And I mean, I've been praying that passes. And, just one thing for elementary school, I've been hearing this and I heard it from children. I mean, you're talking first, second grade, that they are learning that wearing your mask is a sign of respect to others. And that's what they're teaching them. And they are being brainwashed.
So as administration would say, on just coming from that field, you're giving
my blood boiled at that moment. I'm like, no, that didn't just, I have a hard time.
There's no place for indoctrination. I want the politics out of education, and the unions need to back off. Focus on producing good students and who are also good citizens. Well, there used to be citizenship classes in the schools. Why did those go away? And that's understanding the Constitution. That's why I like what President Trump's offering with his 1776 project.
Yes, I like it. Absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
I love it. Absolutely.
There needs to be a curriculum that celebrates William Penn and what he did here. I've watched this recent documentary that a lot of money is spent on, and all it was a bunch of these pinhead professors from Temple and elsewhere who hate Penn. Why would you have them on? This guy was a brilliant man. He had a vision for the state. He was a Quaker pacifist. He suffered for his faith. He went to jail for being a Christian several times. So he knew what persecution was like. He came to Pennsylvania, and he said, I want people to come here regardless of what they believe and walk in freedom. He had peace with the Indians. He even tried to learn some of their customs and language to communicate with them. I mean, what a great ambassador he was. On his watch, there was no war with the Indians. There was no abuse. There was trust and kindness. And I don't know why we want to paint our villain. Look, he's not a perfect man, and I know I'm not. So show me a perfect person. But he did a darn good job with what he had to create a great state. We should celebrate Pennsylvania's greatness. Liberty Bell, proclaim liberty throughout the land, a Bible verse.
Yeah. Woo. Yes. And as you always say, I've had this memorized. Is it a republic? Can you keep it? Oh, help me out, Doug. Do we have a republic or can we keep it? Can we keep it? I'm a failure right now. No. Well, what do you say? Sorry, what is the quote?
1787, coming out of Carpenter Hall in Philadelphia. Our founding fathers had negotiated a constitutional republic, but people didn't know. So Mrs. Powell runs over to Benjamin Franklin and says, well, Mr. Franklin, what do we have, a monarchy or a republic? And he said,
if you can keep it.
There you go. See, you taught me that quote. See, we learned.
One last thing is Pennsylvania is a great place. Obviously, William Penn was not a Pennsylvanian. He was an Englishman. So our founding father, of course, is an adopted Pennsylvanian. Benjamin Franklin, arguably the greatest Pennsylvanian, was from Boston, Massachusetts. Another adopted son. I love how great minds and great people end up in Pennsylvania. We need that once again, where people from across the nation want to be in Pennsylvania because it's a place of opportunity where you can enjoy life, liberty, and your pursuit of happiness here without reference or deference to what Governor Wolf or Harrisburg says.
Exactly. John 8:3 says, if the Son sets you free, you
are free indeed.
That's right. Walk as free people.
Walk as free people.
See? We listen.
Like the sign in the back.
I know.
I love it. This shows you how much of a people's campaign we are. So, you remember back in June, I asked for memes. And I had so many cool memes, and we posted a lot of them. And that one there was this, yes, and I posted yours. And what you're wearing there, my friend, and that sign behind you is by a professional graphic designer, and she wanted no credit. She didn't want her name on it here, but she, loaned her expertise to come up with that. So I guess the next one I'll be asking for is some kind of nice design about, Doug's Army or Mastriano's Army or something that looks kind of military, maybe with an American flag on the side, and then some kind of design here, and then some kind of logo on the back for our next brand of shirts. So
that would be awesome.
Nice.
So Doug, can you tell our viewers where they can get the button? Sorry, I don't know if you can see the button, but your buttons, where they can get the t-shirts, where they can get the signs if they are interested. How can they get these items?
So the easiest, of course, is going to an event that we're attending. And so tonight we'll be in Lebanon County. Trying to think where. Anyway, we'll be in Lebanon speaking.
It's at the auditorium for the Lebanon GOP.
Is that where it's at?
Thank you.
There we go.
We will have buttons and signs there. But if you're in my district, all four of the county headquarters in Hanover, Gettysburg, Chambersburg, and Carlisle have my materials. I know that's only a small part of South Central Pennsylvania, but if you can come to where I'm speaking, I tend to have stuff in the car that we can get to you.
Okay. And then how can our viewers donate to your campaign?
So go to my Doug Mastriano Fighting for Freedom page, and there's two ways you can do it. You can mail a check to Friends of Doug Mastriano. That's our authorized political committee that we file with Harrisburg. And we have one online donation place. It's Friends of Doug Mastriano on Anadot, and the link is on my page there, Doug Mastriano for Fighting for Freedom. We're still looking to raise another. I suspended fundraising during the height of this crisis here because I could not, as you know, as a decent human being, ask people for money when they're suffering. The Democrats raised record numbers during that same season. I'm like, who would give to them? I would be like, you're a disgusting politician. I'm suffering. I'm out of a job. My unemployment check's not here. But the Democrats, they exploit crisis to their gain. But we still have a bit more to raise. So people would think about, one last push here in the final 6 days of the campaign. And we can, if we run for governor, what we do have in Friends of Doug Mastriano can be used for a governor campaign.
Okay. And just one last question for you, Doug, just for our viewers. What pages do you have where they can find out your fireside chats and find out more information about you? What are your pages where they can find you?
So go to Facebook, and there's two pages. And one thing I need to clarify, on my private page here, I've met my 5,000 friends like a year and a half ago. I can't accept any more friend requests now. Occasionally, somebody will have their account deleted, or they'll inactivate their account and they'll fall off. That I can bring in one or two people occasionally, and some of you know that that's a fact. But I have 1,500 friend requests, and I'd love to accept all of them, but I can't. And I've gone through and I've tried to remove inactive accounts. From times I've removed an account where one guy thought I deleted him because he posted something controversial. I'm like, no, that was a mistake. I thought it was an inactive account. So if people get offended, see, I got to be really careful. I've been unfriending a lot of my foreign friends since I'm trying to be more focused in Pennsylvania. But I'm about out of taking out people that aren't active in my pages.
Foreign friends.
Yeah. As long as you don't delete us, we're good. Yeah.
A lot of friends in Canada and in Germany and the UK and Lithuania and Latvia, and so so I hope they don't think I'm dissing them, but I need to engage more. Okay, so two pages. My official page is Senator Doug Mastriano. Mm-hmm. That's where all the good stuff happens with the Senate, and I do about half of my online fireside chats there. The other page is Doug Mastriano Fighting for Freedom. That page has been heavily censored by Facebook. They tend not to let you know when I'm going live. And that's because it's a good conservative page, and it has been for years. Both pages have a large following, but that's the place you can find me. All campaign discussion has to be on Doug Mastriano Fighting for Freedom. On my government page, I can't talk campaign politics.
Mm-hmm. So if you guys want to find out more about him, if you want to listen to his fireside chats, those are the two pages that he's mostly on. He's also on Colonel on the Call every Friday. You also have another radio station that you work with from 12:30 to 1 or 12 to 12:30?
12 to 1 at a Philly.
On Fridays.
Yep, that's on Fridays.
So was I right, 12 to 12:30 or 12:30 to 1 that you're on the radio?
It's supposed to be 12 to 1. Sometimes I have to hop off early, though, because of events.
And what radio station was that for our viewers?
WWMD. Now, of course, we're competing with Rush Limbaugh, so that's tough.
And then at 5 o'clock every Friday, it's Colonel on the Call. And what radio station is that?
FM 103.7 in Chambersburg.
We should have asked everybody if they had a piece of paper and a pen.
I know, right? Get out people where you watch. You guys can call in, ask the Colonel any questions that you have, any questions about Pennsylvania. And he is more than willing to talk to you. I've actually tried calling in once to Colonel on the Call. I got a busy signal the whole entire time, so it just shows you how popular you are. So I would suggest calling in early. Just make sure you're in the wait queue. Just for the people who do want to talk to him, you're very popular, Doug.
Thank you. So our good friend Rachel Moyer is reminding me, as you did, that tonight we're in the Lincoln Republican Auditorium in Lebanon. You want to find us 7 p.m.
There you go,
Awesome.
7 p.m. Make sure you check out Doug. Make sure you go and see him. That's where, like he said, you can get the shirts and the buttons. He'll have it for you guys. Make sure you check it out, guys. And like we said, on November 3rd, make sure you vote for him. Red wave, guys. Come on. We can do this.
It's the red wave.
Yes.
It's time.
Amen.
All right.
Well, thank you so much, Doug, for being a guest on our show. We truly appreciate your time and dedication that you have. Thank you so much, Doug.
Keep fighting the fight. You guys are awesome.
Thank you, Doug.
Thank you so much,
From
Doug.
your top supporter, top fan.
Top fan.
I'm sure everybody else is the same exact way. So all the top
You're
fans.
not singled out.
I can't be singled out. Come on. No, just kidding. Yes, you have a lot of fans behind you and a lot of supporters, Doug, in all seriousness. Yes. So constantly be praying for you, Doug. I pray for blessings for you, for wisdom, for encouragement, for strength, for guidance, that the Lord directs you in whatever path that you are led to. And I just pray for strength, honestly, that the Lord provides you a lot of strength to continue this fight and continue in this battle, and that the Lord watches over you and keeps you. And that's my prayer for you, and I'm sure the rest of us pray the same exact prayer as well. So God bless you, Doug.
In Jesus' name.
In Jesus' name.
And all God's people said, Amen.
Love you guys. God bless.
Love you, Doug. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. Take care, Doug. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, you guys.
All right.
Amazing.
Yes, that was an amazing show. I'm so glad you guys got to meet and got to hear and learn all about Senator Doug Mastriano and why we are such huge fans and huge advocates and huge supporters for him. He is an amazing man. Please, like he said, check out his Senate page. Check out Douglas Mastriano Fighting for Freedom. Please contribute to his campaign fund.
Yep.
What else? And on November 3rd, please make sure if you're in his district, please make sure you go out and vote for him. Maybe I'll see a couple of you guys out of my polling location. I'll be out in Shippensburg advocating for him with my Doug Mastriano shirt, buttons, and signs, making sure that people know all about how an amazing man he is and letting people know, please vote for this man. So maybe I'll see some of you over in Shippensburg because that's where I'll be. That's my polling location. So.
All right, you guys. I think it's time to end. I can't believe we've been on here an hour and 23 minutes.
I am so sorry, Doug. Wow. He was with us a while. Thank you, Doug. I don't think I've ever got that much time with him. That was amazing. I'm always trying to compete with 500 extra people for his time and attention with all of us other supporters. So thank you, Doug, for giving us that much time. I truly appreciate it. You are a true gentleman. Thank you, Doug.
It was awesome.
Yes.
All right, you guys, we don't want to we want to respect everybody's time.
Yes.
Again, this is Angela Marie in the morning, streaming live with my co-host, Rachel Vermeulen. I said that without stuttering.
Getting better every time, guys.
Wednesday morning, 8:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Follow us on Facebook and or YouTube. And we just want to make it real, you guys, and bring truth every single Wednesday morning. And this morning, we brought you guys a whole lot of truth with Senator Doug Mastriano. So with that being said, you guys, I'm also Angela Marie, founder of findyourpurposeandshine.com.
And I'm Rachel. And make sure you guys are constantly in prayer for Senator Doug Mastriano. Cover him in prayer. And we look forward to seeing you next Wednesday at 8:45 in the morning. All right, guys, take care and may the Lord bless you. God bless, guys.
God bless you guys. Oh, and by the way, we have a new outro. My son did it just for today's show. I said, Senator Doug Mastriano is going to be on. You need to make the outro. He did it. So here it is, you guys. See you guys later. God bless you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.